Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Givaradhari. Gopi Janavallabha Givaradhari. Gopi Janavallabha Givaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana. Yamunatiravanachari. Yamunatiravanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana. Yamunatiravanachari. Yamunatiravanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jam Vishnupad Pram Supraprajagacharya Stotra Shata Shri Shriman Srila Bhai Shravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda ki jai, Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sadvaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Jai Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Bol. Oh glorious assembled devotees Hare Krishna. Oh glorious assembled devotees Hare Krishna. Oh glorious assembled devotees Hare Krishna. Oh glorious to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Oh glorious to Shri Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pashtapati Shmatara Swami Tinamidi. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pashtapati Shmati Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamidi. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharani Nirvishesha Shanavadi Prachatadi Shatarini. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 16, entitled Jaya and Vijaya Cursed by the Sages. Text 8. Naham tadadmi yajamana havirvitane Shyotad grita prutamadan hutabhun mukena Yad brahmanasya mukatascha rato nugasam Tushtasya maya vahitair nichakarma pakahi Na, not. Aham, I. Tatha, on the other hand. Admi, I eat. Yajamana, by the sacrificer. Havihi, the oblations. Vitane, in the sacrificial fire. Shyotat, pouring. Grita, ghee. Plutam, mixed. Adan, eating. Hutabhuk, the sacrificial fire. Mukena, by the mouth. Yat, as. Brahmanasya, of the Brahmana. Mukhatah, from the mouth. Charatah, acting. Anugasam, morsels. Tushtasya, satisfied. Mayi, to me. Avahitaihi, offered. Nija, own. Karma, activities. Pakaihi, by the results. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I do not enjoy the oblations offered by the sacrificers in the sacrificial fire, which is one of my own mouths, with the same relish as I do the delicacies overflowing with ghee, which are offered to the mouths of Brahmanas, who have dedicated to me the results of their activities and who are ever satisfied with my prasada. Purport. The devotees of the Lord, or the Vaishnava, does not take anything without offering it to the Lord. Since a Vaishnava dedicates all the results of his activities to the Lord, he does not taste anything eatable which is not first offered to him. The Lord also relishes giving to the Vaishnava's mouth all eatables offered to him. It is clear from this verse that the Lord eats through the sacrificial fire and the Brahmana's mouth. So many articles, grains, ghee, etc., are offered in sacrifice for the satisfaction of the Lord. The Lord accepts sacrificial offerings from the Brahmanas and devotees, and elsewhere it is stated that whatever is given for the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas to eat is also accepted by the Lord. But it is said that he accepts offerings to the mouths of Brahmanas and Vaishnavas with even greater relish. The best example of this is found in the life of Advaita Prabhu in his dealings with Haridas Thakur. Even though Haridasa was born of a Muhammadan family, Advaita Prabhu offered him the first dish of prasada after the performance of a sacred fire ceremony. Haridasa Thakur informed him that he was born of a Muhammadan family. How is this pronounced? Muhammadan family, and asked why Advaita Prabhu was offering the first dish to Muhammadan instead of an elevated Brahmana. Out of his humbleness, Haridasa condemned himself as a Muhammadan, but Advaita Prabhu, being an experienced devotee, accepted him as a real Brahmana. Advaita Prabhu asserted that by offering the first dish to Haridas Thakur, he was getting the result of feeding 100,000 Brahmanas. The conclusion is that if one can feed a Brahmana or a Vaishnava, it is better than performing hundreds of thousands of sacrifices. In this age, therefore, it is recommended that Hare Nama, chanting the holy name of God, and pleasing the Vaishnava are the only means to elevate oneself to spiritual life. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashlakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaiva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. I'm happy to be here with you. We're discussing a very interesting part of Srimad Bhagavatam when the Lord's servants, Jai and Vijay, were cursed by the 4 Kumaras, by the sages, it is said here. Yes, and here they were already cursed, in fact, and the Lord is trying to pacify 4 Kumaras here. And it's very interesting how the Lord deals with anyone, in fact, who does something wrong. Because usually we consider the offense of Jaya and Vijaya against four Kumaras. But actually, they were just doing their business. They were guarding Vaikuntha, gate of Vaikuntha, that no one uninvited would enter it. And these four Kumaras were Brahmavadis, were not even devotees, and they were naked, improperly dressed, and they just wanted to enter Vaikuntha. And it was the job of Jaya and Vijaya, who were gatekeepers, to stop those such people to enter. And we can see that Kumaras, who are supposed to be self-realized sages, they cursed Lord's devotees because of anger. So, in fact, they were identifying with their bodies. And this is explained in 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Yen ye ramidaksha vimukta maninas tvayasta bhavata vishuddha buddhaya arucha gritina param patanti ado nadita yushmatangra. Yes, that those who are vimukta maninas, they imagine themselves liberated, are in fact avishuddha Buddha. They don't have pure intelligence, and therefore patanti ado nadrita yushmatangra, they fall again to this material plane. They don't enter, in fact, in spiritual dimension yet, in reality, because they have impure intelligence, because they do not take shelter of Lord's lotus feet. And we can see what the consequence was. They couldn't enter the Vaikuntha. They returned to the material world. These four Kumaras. And the Lord, who wants to teach something, those who do something wrong, is extremely, extremely mild. And not just mild, but in fact, he teaches those who want to chastise. In fact, he teaches them by glorifying them. For example, here the Lord is glorifying Brahmanas like anything in this passage of Srimad Bhagavatam, and how the Brahmanas are everything, and he would even lop off his hand if it would do something against the Brahmanas, and he indeed does so, because he sends Jaya and Vijaya, who were his hands, in fact, because they were his servants. He sends them to material world. But we know from the Srimad Bhagavatam then that only their expansions went into material world, not themselves. Because no one falls from Vaikuntha. And it is explained later when demigods were fighting with the demons, then Vaikuntha-vasis came along to help them, and among them were Jaya and Vijaya, although they were supposed to be cursed and living in material world. So they were always simultaneously in spiritual world. Yes. So it is really interesting, and the same chastisement we can see also to Lord Shiva, when Lord Shiva gave these boons to unsuitable personalities like Vrikasura. You remember Vrikasura from 10th canto? He was extremely demoniac personality, and he wanted to achieve quick boon. And he asked Narada who of these great three personalities, Vishnu, Shiva, and Brahma, are most easily satisfied. And Narada directed him to Lord Vishnu, Shiva. And then he was offering his own flesh into the sacrificial fire. And when the Lord Shiva didn't appear as quickly as he understood that he must appear, he was prepared to cut off his head and throw it into the fire. And Lord Shiva appeared and pacified Vrikasura, and he was prepared to give him any boon he wanted. And what did he want? Yes. he wanted the boon to head would explode of the one who touches him. and he wanted immediately to test his boon, acquired boon, on Lord Shiva's head. Yes, extremely demoniac. He wanted to destroy. The same personality that gave him a boon. And Lord Shiva was in great distress. He was running from this demon all over the place. He went even to Lord Narayana's place, Vaikuntha. And Narayana came like a small brahmachari, very sweet. And he's always sweet speaking, sweetly speaking personality, Lord Narayana. And he spoke very sweetly with Vrikasura. And he said, please, you came so long way, please rest a little bit. You must be tired. Why do you strive so heavily? Because our body can give us all happiness in this world. Don't strain your body so much. And he said that he's purchasing Shiva. He wanted to try if his boon is really working or not. And he said, Vishnu said, why do you believe such strange personalities, Lord Shiva? You see how he's dressed, and he's all over covered with ashes, and he shouldn't be taken seriously. You can see it, and touch your head, and you will see that this is just lie, his bones. And he was so bewildered by sweet-speaking Vishnu that he really touched his own head and burst in 1,000 pieces immediately. And then the Lord instructed Shiva, but he didn't chastise him like one would expect, but he very mildly said that he should consider more to whom he's giving his blessings. And so here we also can see that the Lord is extremely mild with four Kumaras, and they glorify Brahmanas, that he doesn't care for the offerings in sacrifices, but he relishes the offering to mouths of brahmanas and Vaishnavas. And of course, this is instruction for us, especially from this lila. And in this verse especially, we have two instructions to remember all the time. One is humility and pridelessness, and the other is service to Vaishnavas. As it is explained here, the chanting of the holy name of God by Prabhupada and pleasing the Vaishnava are the only means to elevate oneself to spiritual life. So, but we cannot please Vaishnavas if we are proud. We will offend Vaishnavas if we are proud. Like here, 4 Kumaras offended Vaishnavas because of their pride. Yes, and it is said they're supposed to be jnanis, isn't it? Yes, but Lord explained in 13th chapter of Bhagavad-gita what is jnana, and he begins his explanations with amanitvam adambitvam. That means pridelessness and what's this said? No. Amanitvam, adambitvam. Amanitvam is humbleness. Adambitvam is without pridelessness, without pride. And this, one may think that these two items are the same, isn't it? But actually they're not. That's why Krishna uses two different expressions for this. Amanitvam is humbleness. That means that we don't act as we would be God. Or, in fact, humbleness and that means that because we are in the material world, because we want to play the role of God. And we want, what does it mean, the role of God? Krishna explains in 5th chapter of Bhagavad-gita, Bhoktaram yaga tapasan sarvaloka maheshwaram sukhridam sarvabhutanam gyatvam shantim richati. Those who consider themselves bhokta or enjoyers of this material world, of anything in this world, and if they consider themselves proprietors of anything, then they think they're God. And we all in this material world think like this, that we are enjoyers and proprietors. And if we are not humble, so we consider ourselves as God. And pridelessness means that we don't expect others to accept our position. If we are proud, that means that we expect others to give us due respect as we would be God. So humbleness is our consciousness that we are not God. And pridelessness is that we don't expect others to worship us as God. So, and that's why also Lord Chaitanya mentioned in his famous third shloka of Shikshashtaka, Trinadapi Sunishana Taroriva Sahishnana Amanina Manadena Kirtanek Sadahari, that we should be amanina, that we don't expect others to respect us, but we should be manadena, that we should respect all other living entities. So it is extremely important that we realize our own position. And what is our own position? I didn't hear.
I am eternal servant of the servant.
Yes, exactly. That we are servants of the servants of the servants. Jivara Svarupa Hoy, Krishna Nitya Das. This is our Svarupa. Svarupa of every living entity that is just Das, just servant. Yes, just servant. And in every situation, in every condition, we are servants. Also, most proud and arrogant atheists are also just servants all the time, and Krishna's servants. But of course they do not know this. They consider themselves the masters, but they're in fact servants. From the moment they wake up in the morning, they're serving Krishna all the time. Because they're not their bodies. This is Krishna's energy, their body. But immediately they start to render service to their body. They go to the bathroom, they clean it, they feed it. So there are menial servants of Krishna, even if they don't realize this. But because Krishna explains in 9th chapter of Bhagavad-gita, Ye pyanya devata bhaktya yajante shraddhayanvita tepi mameva kantaya yajantya vidipurokam. That those who worship other gods, and of course they consider their body to be their god, and their mind to be their god, if they are completely selfish. Yes, they have other gods than Krishna, but they worship only Krishna, nothing else, no one else, but they worship him in a wrong manner. And he explains again, aham hi sarva yagyanam bhoktacha prabhurevacha. That means aham hi, I'm certainly, he means certainly. Aham hi sarva yagyanam, of all, I'm bhoktacha prabhurevacha. I'm the enjoyer of all yagyas, and the master. Natumam abhijananti bhoktamam aham hi sarva yaganam bhoktacha prabhurevacha natumam abhijananti tatva natyashchavantiti. And those who don't know this, don't realize that I'm bhokta of everything, and the Lord of everything, they fall down from their position. They don't remain on their position, but they fall down. They go down. So this humility is extremely important to acquire, to become humble, because we are not by our condition and nature. We want to fight with others because we consider ourselves superior to them. But we should know that we are the servants of every living entity, in fact, because Krishna himself says that Mamaivam Shujiva Loki Jiva Bhutik Sanatana. All living entities are his parts and parcels. So they are Krishna, and we are just the servants. So we should serve every living entity, even animals and plants and everyone, in fact. So this is our position. But of course we should know how to serve different expansions of Krishna, different personalities. And we cannot treat all living entities the same. For example, we should serve the cow by giving her a bunch of grass and a little water. We can scratch its neck and so on. This is service to a cow. But brahmanas we cannot feed with bunch of grass and scratching their necks. This would be offensive. So we cannot behave exactly the same to every living entity. We cannot serve them exactly in the same way. So we must discriminate in this regard um, uh, between, and we should know how to serve each living entity. So we serve them like in this manner that we try to connect them with the Lord. And those who are averse to the Lord, we serve them also by carefully avoiding them. Yes. If we don't avoid them, they will commit more offenses to the Lord, and they would go further away from the Lord. And our intention is to make them closer to the Lord, not to make them further away. So, if they are really offensive mentality, we should avoid them. Yes, this is first that we should understand. These two, that we should be without pride and humble, and other is to please the Vaishnavas. So if we understand that we are servants of the Lord, as we explained now, and that we should serve every living entity, how much more we should serve Vaishnavas, because Vaishnavas are extremely dear to the Lord. He himself says also in 9th chapter of Bhagavad-gita, Samoham sarvabhuteshu na medveshya na praha ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya mayite teshu chapaham. That I'm equal to every living entity. I don't favor one, and I don't hate anybody. I'm not envious of anyone. But he makes a distinction. But I love my devotees. They're in my heart, and I'm in their hearts all the time. So they're my friends. So he considers Lord his own devotees as most worshipable, and therefore Lord Shiva explains to Parvati, Aradhananam sarvasham Vishnor Aradhanam param. That among all different types of worship of Lord Shiva is the highest, is the best. Tasmat parataram devi tadyanam samarchanam. But the worship of Lord's devotees is even higher than worship of Lord Vishnu. And everything connected with Lord Vishnu, in fact, with the Lord Tadyanam. That means not just devotees, but everything connected with the Lord. So we don't push things around that are meant for worshipping the Lord, because this is Lord's Tadya also. And be offensive to anything. There are also devotees who before they get up, they offer prayers to Mother Earth to be kind and excuse them offense, because they are stepping on Mother Earth with their feet. And for example, we may remember the example of Pundarik Vidyanidhi, who didn't want to bathe in the Ganges, and not that he didn't bathe in the Ganges himself, he didn't want to go to Ganges during the day. Why? Do you remember? Because people were behaving offensively to Mother Ganges. They were washing pots and washing the clothes in Ganges. They were washing their mouth in Ganges. And he couldn't tolerate this. So he never went to Ganges during the daytime. So he went to the Ganges only during night. And then she just touched the Ganges and put it on his head reverently. He didn't want to immerse in Ganges to touch the Ganges with his feet. Yes. So we should follow these examples of humility, and we can see Haridas Thakur, he was so elevated that Advaita Acharya gave him this uh, first offering, first dish of prasad after performance of a sacred fire ceremony, as explained here by Prabhupada. And there were also elevated brahmanas at this function. He was not alone there. And Advaita Acharya, in fact, by this act, jeopardized his own position, because this was so rigid society. But he nevertheless gave to Haridas Thakur, who was Mohammedan and not considered Hindu at this time. But nevertheless, Haridas was so humble that he didn't try to enter the temple of Lord Jagannath. And he considered himself unworthy of Krishna's mercy, of Lord Chaitanya. Yes. So we should stop, I suppose. So yes, we should remember this, at least these two instructions: not to be proud of anything, and that will save us, in fact, from so much calamities in spiritual life, because pride causes us to offend others and to criticize others. If we are proud, we consider ourselves entitled to judge others and criticize their behavior. But we should not do this, of course. So that's why it is said that pride comes before the fall. Because if we criticize devotees, we will inevitably fall. And other thing is to serve every living entity, and especially Vaishnavas. Hare Krishna. Is there any question or comment or doubt? Yes. Please. Yes.
Sorry. Oh, did you want? Okay. You talked about Jai and Vijay didn't actually fully expand it into the material world. So, is it the same for us?
It is explained that not. We are not always liberated. There are two kinds of living entities: Nitya Bada and Nitya Siddha. It is explained. And those who are Nitya Siddha are always Siddha, are eternally perfect. And so these Vaikuntha-vasis are Nitya Siddha. So they never fall down into material world. But those who are Nitya Bada always fall in material world. But karma is anadi, that means without beginning, but it can end. That means that we can become liberated, that we can become Siddha. And then we are either sadhana Siddha, that means that we attain perfection by our sadhana, or kripa Siddha, that we attain perfection by some special mercy. And then we are also become Nitya Siddha. Hare Krishna. Yes.
Thank you for a wonderful class, Prabhu. Is it accepted that, because you mentioned that Jai and Vijay expanded into the material world, so we don't view it that they received a sinful reaction per se. It's not perceived like that they were being punished. It's not really the case.
We can take it both ways. That they were punished and they were not, because they're always Lord's servants. And this is Lila, and it's mentioned that it is Lila, that Lord wanted to fight, because he has also this fighting spirit. But these living entities in material world are just like small ants for him. And this is not fun to fight against ants. You can crush them many at the time. And what fighting spirit you can get with fighting with an ant? Nothing. But you fight someone who is at least close to your power. And devotees are close to Lord's power. And so there were extremely powerful demons when they came as demons in material world. So much so that Hiranyakashipu reversed the universal order. So those who were demoniac, who were impious, they went to heaven. and those who were pious, they went to hell. So, yes, they suffered hellish consequences for their piety. And those who were demoniac, they were enjoying life. And he was glorified by all demigods, and even it is explained that Narada Muni was singing in glorification of Hiranyakashipu. Yes. So he was extremely powerful personality. But of course we can know that then this killing of them and punishment of them, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains, in fact, that this killing of them was just removing the outer dress. So their outer appearance, demoniac appearance, this was removed, and then they were re-established. But of course these expansions were re-established with the original Jaya and Vijaya. Hare Krishna. Yes, please.
Thank you so much, Babu. I'm just reflecting on the point that you mentioned about we should learn how to serve each expression, and I'm just reflecting what love means. It's not about as you mentioned, we're scratching the cow and saving them by giving them the grass, and then but with the devotee, we don't give them the grass, we don't scratch their neck.
Yes.
So I'm just reflecting that the meaning of love, it's all about knowing what the person loves, and you please them according to their desire. It's not about
and needs, yes.
It's not about selfish, I want it to be like this, like I want. No.
Yes.
It's about mostly the person.
Exactly.
Just reflecting on that.
And that's why it is important to understand how to deal with different living entities. For example, it is explained that what was Prabhupada explains in his books that there was one boy or something who had terrible disease. I don't. What was his disease?
I think
Typhoid or something, and he was strictly forbidden of some food. But he was crying for this food, like anything. He wanted this food, and mother didn't want to, of course, to give him this. What he wanted, I forgot what was it. Some
chapati. Solid foods.
Huh?
You couldn't eat solid foods.
Oh yes, solid foods, and he wanted chapatis or something.
And the brother gave.
Sister, I think. And sister gave him when mother wasn't at home. he was crying for these chapatis, and then sister gave him, and I think he died or something. So, because of so-called love, she gave him chapatis, but that was detrimental for her brother. So we should know how to serve different living entities. So we should learn from Shastra and Acharyas. That's why it's so important to understand Shastra, Guru Sadhu Shastra. And therefore it is said in first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, second chapter, Jivasya Tattva Jigyasa, that we live only to inquire about Tattva. Not for any other purpose. That means that we inquiring what is pleasing to the Lord. This is Tattva Jigyasa, in fact. What is pleasing to the Lord? What is pleasing to any other living entity? Yes, that we can serve, that we can live according to our constitutional position as Jiva Svarupa Hoy, Krishna Nitya Das. Hare Krishna. Anything else? Okay. Thank you very much for your attention. Please accept my